Alright, welcome back to Getting Started with C# and Unity. In our last episode, we made it so our little player can shoot projectiles with a little pew pew noise. Perfect. Now, we need to make sure that these projectiles will actually damage our enemy here, because eventually we want him to die and drop a key for us. So let's go ahead and get started with that. So first things first, we're going to need to give this enemy here a life, or lives, or health anyway. So go ahead and open up Mono and go to your boss control script, and right at the top we're going to put a new variable, and this is where integers come into play, because we don't really need decimal values for health unless you're working with percentages, of course. So we're going to say public int, and I'm just going to give him 5 hit points, so he has to be hit 5 times. I actually forgot my variable names. I'm going to say health equals 5. There we go. Perfect. So we have to get hit by 5 projectiles to die. Perfect. Okay. So in our collision enter, we want to check to see if we got hit by a projectile. So we're going to say if, basically the same line as this, but just replace player. So we can just copy this actually. Copy that, paste that, and say proj. Make sure that's spelled exactly like it is on your tag here. So we go back to prefabs, proj, perfect, okay. So if I'm hit by a projectile, make my health go down by 1. So you can say health minus minus, and that's all you need. That just is a shorthand for subtract health by 1. Perfect. We probably also want to have some sort of sound effect for the player to confirm that they have hit it. So let's go ahead and go back to BFXR real quick. Let's generate a hurt sound. That sounds good to me right there. Hit hurt 7. Alright, works for me. So we can go ahead and go back into Unity and go back to our sounds folder here. Sounds. Let's go ahead and import that sound. Hit hurt 7. Works for me. Now we need to add a audio source component to our boss here. So go to add component, audio source. And just like the pew pew noise, we need to make a variable public audio clip hit sound. You can hit a semicolon right there. Go back to the engine, wait for this compile, and then we can drag our hit sound right there. Perfect. So now we have a hit sound effect. And in the same little area that our minus health is, we can say audio dot play one shot, and we say hit sound. So every time this monster gets hit, it'll play that psh sound. So what happens when the enemy is at 0 health? Well, there's no logic here, so basically he's immortal right now. So to fix that, we're going to do this check and update. So go ahead, underneath your distance check, make a new if statement if health is less than or equal to 0. Go ahead and make your brackets there. Destroy game object. So kill myself basically. Destroy game object. So as soon as his health reaches 0, the enemy will die. And it'll cease to exist. Let's go ahead and try that. Oops, didn't mean to click there, but okay. So our enemy's gonna start following us. Oh no! You can hear him getting hit. And he's dead. Oh no, he's not dead yet. There he is. Okay, okay, now he's dead. Alright, cool. So that works. But he doesn't drop anything, so this door is basically useless. So what we can do is we can make a new key object, Actually, let's go back to the engine for that. I'm just going to make this a little square. So I'm going to go game object, create 3D object, cube. I'm just going to make this a little golden square, same color as the door, just so it's easy to see and recognize. It doesn't really matter where you put it because it's just going to spawn where the enemy dies here. I'm going to color it the same as the door. Alright. Now I'm actually going to tag this after I rename it. I'm going to name it key. I'm going to tag this as key, just so it's easy to pick up. Key. And make sure to put that tag in here. Key. Now this is going to be a prefab because this is going to instantiate it as soon as it dies. So prefabs, and we can drag that key right in there. Perfect. And we can just delete that from the game scene because we're going to make it anyway. Now, back to our boss script. We are going to make a new public game object with capital G, key. And that's going to be our key object. And it's going to be very, very similar to how we instantiated our projectile object. Okay, so once this compiles, there we go. Put that right in there. Perfect. So back to our script. As soon as he dies, we want to instantiate this key. Now, there's no need for us to have reference to this after it's instantiated, so you don't need to put the same game object P thing here as you did as the last one, unless you're planning to do something else with it. For our purposes, we're just spawning it and that's it. So we're going to put instantiate key. And it's going to be looking for a position, so we're going to say game object, which is this boss, because it's the boss control script, .transform.position, and it's looking for a rotation. We just put quaternion.identity again, because we don't really need rotation information right now. Hit a semicolon, and now that should spawn a little key after it dies. We'll go ahead and test that right now. Of course, this boss is not very difficult. But that's the beauty of programming games, is that you can change the boss or put as many bosses as you want. Maybe all these bosses have different abilities. We also might want to consider destroying the projectile as soon as it hits the boss. But he did die there, and you can see that little key. We can't quite pick it up yet, but eventually we will. I'm going to program it so that the projectiles destroy themselves after they hit the boss, just so we don't get any sort of like weird overkill kind of stuff going on here. So on this boss, since we already have reference to it right here, after it gets rid of the health, we can say destroy other, and make sure it's other.gameObject, because if you just destroyed other, it would just destroy the collider on the sphere, and that's no bueno. Alright, perfect. Everything's looking good. So now we want to have the player collect this key and open the door. So all this is going to be is just a Boolean. Does the player have the key? True. Destroy the door. Does he not have the key? Don't do anything. So this is actually a really easy problem to solve. So if we go back to our player, we can make a Boolean, and this doesn't have to be public because it's only, relevant in this one area. We don't need to change it ourselves. Say bool has key, and we're going to set this to false by default because the player shouldn't have the key when he starts. We're going to need one more on trigger enter here. So go ahead and say void on trigger enter. We're going to need a collider other here. Let's make sure that's okay. Perfect. All right. So here is where we're going to do the check for the key. And this is on the player controller just to make sure. So we're going to say, just like the other ones, if other dot, not animation, dot game object dot tag equals key. We need to destroy the key. So you say destroy other dot game object semicolon, and then we're going to turn has key true. We're also going to need one more on collider enter too, because we want to touch the door that needs the key to open it. So go ahead and just copy this entire function, and right underneath it you can paste it. Instead of on trigger, put on collider, and you make sure to change this is important, to collision. Unity will yell at you if you don't do that, so it's not too big of a deal, but that'll trip a lot of novice programmers up if they don't remember that. It certainly did to me lots of times. So now we want to do a check for the door, but the door is not tagged, so we need to go back real quick. Let's go ahead and click on our door real quick. Let's tag this as locked door. Now we're going to say if we have collided with the locked door, so if other.gameObject.tag equals locked door and has key equals true, then let's just destroy the door because it's open. Destroy other game object. Perfect. So if we have the key, which means we've picked up the key, we can destroy the door and open it. So let's go ahead and give that a shot, the entire sequence. Oh, make sure to save often. Control S is your friend when programming. Actually doing anything computer science based. Alright, so open our door. Oh, there's our boss. Oh no, I hit it. Okay, so it reset the level, so we know that works. Might want to consider zooming the camera a little bit just so we can see it better. Alright, there's our boss. I'm kind of cheating with the seam. Okay, so he died. So there's our key. Bonk. And we didn't program something right here because I'm touching the key and nothing's happening. So while we're in the play, let's take a look here. Oh, I know why, because this isn't a trigger. Bunk. Okay, so that's an easy fix. So go ahead and go to your prefabs down here with the key and make sure that's a trigger. Let's try that one more time. And after this, I'm going to zoom the camera out just a little bit because it's kind of hard to see the boss. Oh, yeah. I'm going to zoom out the camera quick because it's really hard to see the boss. Let's set that to something more like, how about 10? Yeah, that's good. Alright, so he dropped his key. We can go ahead and get it, and now we have that key. So if we touch the door, it doesn't open. Why? Let's take a look. Well, did we set this door as locked door? Okay, let's take a look. Locked door. Is that capitalized? Yep. Has key is true, and that should have happened. We should have the key. Alright. Destroy other game object on collider, enter. This is an interesting bug. I'm not quite sure what's happening here though. Because as you can see, we are colliding with it, and we should have the key. If we look at our player, oh, I didn't set that to public. You can go to debug mode here, debug, and it should show you the stuff that we do have. Has key is true. Interesting. Tell you what, let's go back and let's take a look at this real quick. So this door is fat. It is locked door. That's okay. It does have a box collider, so we can enter its trigger. On collider. This is interesting. Oh, This looks like it's not saved, but it is. This is an interesting bug. I'm not quite sure why this is happening. Let's try again. Maybe we'll spot Y here. Actually, nope, it should be working. If we touch the door now, yeah, it still doesn't work. Okay, so that makes sense. So we get our key, bonk. That is certainly interesting. Tell you what, here's what we can do. I can take this door. And I was thinking about making it a trigger, however, that wouldn't be effective because we'll just go right through it. So, there might be something wrong with the physics interaction here. Let me try retyping this real quick, because that seems weird. Maybe I spelled that wrong. Get our key. Oh, yep. Okay, I must have spelled collision wrong. Well, that's part of the gig. You're gonna have tons and tons and tons and tons of those moments where it's a simple parentheses that's not there, or one misspelled or uncapitalized letter that you don't realize. Happens all the time, but that's just part of the gig. So everything here is working perfectly. Let's go ahead and make a little end condition, or a win condition, that is. So I'm going to expand this little area. Let's go ahead and set that to 0. Duplicate that one more time. So this is going to be our little win room. Nothing too fancy. We're going to need a smaller block here. Maybe not. Slightly smaller. 5. 4. Oh yeah, okay, that looks actually really good. So let's make one more little trigger here. And what this is gonna do is load a new level that says, you win. And if you want to import like particle effects and fireworks, or even make this longer, you could do that. It's all up to you. This is just a little taste of what's to come. This is incredibly basic to what this extremely powerful engine can do. So let's make a new cube, and this is going to be our little platform to win on. I'm going to stretch it out a little bit. So as soon as our player touches this, they're going to be transported into a new world that just says, you win. And that is all. Okay, materials. I'm going to make it the same color as the player so they know how to go onto it. And I'm just going to make this a trigger so you can just touch it and leave. Let's call this win platform. And I'm going to go ahead and tag it as win. All right. So let's go back to our player collider, or our player controller, I'm sorry. So on trigger enter, so we can just copy this key one again because it's essentially just the same. If other .gameObject.tag equals key equals win, then application.load level. There we go. We don't actually have a new level yet, so let's go ahead and save this scene, and let's go to File, New Scene, and it's going to look like we started all over again. Let's go ahead and find our camera by hitting the F key while having it selected. Alright, so for this, it's not going to be anything special for this tutorial. You can make any sort of showcase that you want, or maybe even load a new level here if you want. But for me, I'm just going to put a simple little empty game object. I'm going to add a text mesh component. This might look a little weird before I add the font. I'm going to say, you win. and you see that big purple garbage, we don't want that. We want an actual font. And there's one built into Unity. You can use any font you want, but for now, I'm just gonna hit this, go to Arial, and you'll notice how like really ugly and like compressed it looks. All you have to do is set the font size to something, I don't know, like 500, and you'll see the resolution drastically increases, but it's huge now. So then you can just use the scale tool and scale it back down. And now the resolution actually looks really good. All right, awesome. So for now, I'm just gonna save that as is. Go ahead and hit Control S, go to Scenes. I'm gonna call this Win. So now we have a win scene. Nothing special. You can make it as cool as you want it to be. You are the designer here. So back to our main scene. And we're gonna open up Mono here. There we go. So in these little quotes right here, I think I called the scene Win. Yep, all lowercase. Okay. Win. So that will load the win scene as soon as we hit that win tag. All right. So I think we have a finished little prototype game here. Now I totally encourage you guys to make this as cool as you can think of. Make it like a huge maze, make tons of boss chambers, make a bunch of unique bosses and puzzles and, you know, I don't know, platforming, rockets, explosions. But for now, let's do one final playthrough. So we got a little door puzzle here. It's pretty much impossible, but I mean, if you think hard enough, you can win every time. Go ahead and go to the boss chamber. Oh, we got Purple Man. And we can shoot Purple Man, and he recoils because of the rigid body. Don't touch. Okay, so we killed him, and he drops a key. We get our little key, and you should add a sound effect for that. A little bing. So now we can hit our key door, open it up, and as soon as we hit our win platform, we don't win because there's that error. Happens every time. Build settings. Add. Actually, we gotta add the win. All that. What an anticlimactic ending. Oh well, it happens to the best of us. So let's try again. That's what happens when you don't add your scenes and you try to load it. Got the key. Let's try that one more time. Perfect. You win. Alright, so thank you for watching Getting Started with C# and Unity. I hope you had a blast as much as I did. It was so fun. Go out there, make some great games, because you have a cool little skill set and a little tutorial level to help get you started. Have a good one. See you later.